Before light ever existed, before time had a name, there was a silence, not peace, not stillness, but a silence so deep it crushed the breath from your soul. No earth, no sky, nothing at all, only Ginnungagap, a boundless emptiness where even darkness had yet to be born. But then, fire surged from the south, ice crept in from the north, and between them, a first breath, not of man, not of God, but of a being so ancient, even existence itself could not understand him. This is the story of Ymir, the origin of chaos, of Audhumla, the cow who nourished a world with mythic milk, and of the first rebellion, when three gods rose, not to save creation, but to tear their ancestor apart, and from blood, bone, flesh, and skull, craft the world we now live in, a world born from death. If you think Norse mythology is just a collection of ancient stories, wait until you hear this. In the beginning, there was only silence, not peace, not calm, but the kind of silence that presses into your bones, a silence before time itself could speak. All that existed was the void, Ginnungagap, a vast yawning nothingness, no stars, no sky, only endless emptiness, stretching beyond even the gods' imagination. But even nothingness can ache for more, and in that ache, two forces awakened, one to the south, one to the north. To the south, Muspelheim, a world forged in flame, alive with heat, chaos, and burning light. The very air shimmered with sparks, like fireflies from a dying star. Muspelheim wasn't a land, it was a furnace, and it was guarded. At its gates stood Surtur, the fire giant, gripping a sword so bright it seared the darkness, a blade not made to protect, but to end. To the north, Niflheim, a realm drowned in fog and sorrow. Here, cold was not merely a feeling, it was a presence, a creeping thing that clung to every edge of existence. Niflheim was not silent, it whispered. Winds moaned through icy hollows, and frost curled like fingers around stone and soul alike. And there, in that northern chill, lay the spring Vergelmir, from which 12 rivers flowed, ancient wild streams known as Elivaga. These rivers spilled into the void, trickling ever farther from their source, and as they did, they began to freeze, drop by drop, mile by mile, until the void was laced with ice, hard and bitter and blue. And yet, from the south came warmth. From Muspelheim, embers leapt, glowing coals scattered like seeds upon the wind. They drifted, glowing, toward the icebound north. Fire met frost, heat kissed cold. The void trembled. From this trembling, a change began. Where flame touched ice, a vapor rose, thick, ancient mist, swirling between extremes. And from that mist, something stirred, a shape, a breath, a being not born, but becoming. Thus was born Ymir, the first of the frost giants, the progenitor of chaos, the first heartbeat of a world still dreaming of itself. While Ymir slept, he sweated, and from that sweat, life spilled out. Strange, towering beings, giants with bones of stone and hearts of storm. But Ymir was not alone, for in the frost a second shape emerged, Audhumla, the primeval cow. Her milk ran like rivers, nourishing Ymir and all that followed. She found salt-licked stones and began to feed, licking them day after day, carving something from the stone. On the first day, hair. On the second, a face. And on the third day, a man stepped forth, Buri, the first god, ancestor to the divine. Thus from the kiss of flame and ice, from sweat and salt and stone, a lineage was born, one destined to shatter the silence and shape the void into a world. But for now, the fire still burned, the frost still crept, and deep within Ginnungagap, something ancient still watched, waiting. Part 2, Ymir and Audhumla. When gods and giants awaken from the breath of mist and the meeting of extremes, Ymir was born, not like a man, not like a god, but something older, something heavier, a being of frost, of dream, of hunger that had no name. Ymir was vast, his body sprawled across the void like a mountain unshaped, and when he slept, he sweated, for even giants dream, and in his dreams, life poured from him. From his sweat came two new forms, twin figures, vast and grim, the first of the Hrimthursar, the frost giants. From his legs, they say, came a creature with 6 heads, howling toward the silence, a storm in the shape of flesh. But Ymir was not alone. In the deep and salted rime, something stirred, gentler, yet just as old. She was not born from mist, but from need. Odumla, the primordial cow, white as snow, vast as cloud, gentle as breath, and yet the mother of gods. She did not speak, she did not roar, she simply was. Her milk flowed in 4 great rivers, and from it Ymir drank, his strength fed by her kindness, his power cradled in her calm. She licked the stones of Ginnungagap, drawn to the salt in their bones. Day by day, she carved through rock with the soft persistence only the eternal possess. On the first day, a strand of hair emerged, not of beast, but of man. On the second, a face, serene, silent, like something remembering itself. And on the third, he stepped forth, Buri, the first god. His presence was light made flesh, order made bone. He was not loud, he was not cruel, he simply existed, and by existing, changed the nature of the void. Buri would have a son, Bor, and Bor would take as wife Besla, a daughter of Ymir's cold line. Thus from fire and frost, from god and giant, a bloodline was forged, not in war, not in hatred, but in something older, balance. From their union came 3 sons, not giants, not beasts, but gods of a new kind. Odin, the eldest, wise and hungry for knowledge. Vili, the middle, willful and daring. Ve, the youngest, quiet, yet filled with vision. They did not rise into the world. They rose to create it. For the old ways had run their course. The void had served its purpose. Ymir's body had grown too large, his presence too heavy upon the cosmos. And so the sons of Bor, born of both ice and fire, of cow and stone and starlight, rose up and did what had never been done. They killed Ymir. The act shattered the silence, bled echoes into every corner of Ginnungagap. Ymir's blood surged out, a flood, a deluge, red as burning ice. So great was the torrent that it drowned all but a few of his kin. The frost giant screamed, but none could hold against it. All perished, save one, Bergelmir, Ymir's grandson. He fled with his wife, drifting upon the sea of blood in a hollowed tree trunk, like seeds clinging to the last branch of a dying world. They would survive, they would multiply, and their descendants would forever remember the gods as murderers, as creators, as the force that ended the old world. But Odin and his brothers had no regret. From Ymir's corpse they built the world. His flesh became land, his blood the oceans and lakes, his bones the mountains, his teeth the stones, his skull the sky. And from the spark still drifting from Muspelheim, they scattered fire into the heavens. Thus were born the stars, embers of creation, lamps in the night, silent witnesses to the violence that birthed the world. Part 3. The universe is built between gods and humans. From death came shape. From Ymir's broken body came the world. The void was no longer empty. It had a skeleton now, a structure, a breath. Odin, Vili, and Ve looked upon what they had done, a corpse stretched across existence, and they began to shape it, not with magic, but with meaning. They carved the oceans from his blood, let them swell and lap upon his ribs like shorelines. They shaped the land from his flesh, raised mountains from his bones, scattered teeth to become the hard stones of the earth. His skull, immense and glimmering, was lifted high and placed above, and the brothers set it upon 4 points, each guarded by a dwarf, Nordri, Sudri, Ostri, and Vestri, the north, the south, the east, and the west. They were the corners of the sky, and from them the winds were born. But the world was still dim, empty, and so the brothers reached again into Muspelheim, grasping the embers that still danced in the breath of the void. They scattered them across the heavens, and the stars were born. Each spark found its place, etched like silver runes upon the fabric of night. Some blazed fiercely, others pulsed like slow, steady heartbeats, but all shone, offering light to what had once been lost. They placed the sun and the moon in motion, and to guide them across the sky they named 2 charioteers, Saul, the radiant maiden, and Mani, the silent boy. Each rode fast, not out of joy, but of necessity, for behind them chased 2 great wolves, Shul, who hunted the sun, and Hati, who longed to devour the moon. Thus the sky became a wheel of purpose, and time, for the first time, began to turn. Yet something was still missing. A world had been built, but it was lifeless, still, too quiet. So Odin and his brothers descended to the shore, where 2 pieces of driftwood lay, washed up by the tides of the new sea. One was ash, straight, tall, proud. The other was elm, gentle, supple, and warm to the touch. The brothers did not speak, they simply breathed. Vi gave them speech and sight. Vili offered them will and movement. And Odin gave them soul. They became the first humans, Aska and Embla, man and woman, root and vine, breath and memory. From them would rise generations, kingdoms, wars, songs. But first, they needed a home. To protect mankind from the chaos of giants, the brothers built a wall, a great ring of defense, crafted from Ymir's eyebrows, thick and high and watchful. They named this realm Midgard, the middle world, not the highest, not the lowest, but balance between all things. Beyond the sea, far to the east, they gave the giants their own land, Jotunheim, the land of stone and storm. There, the wild things could rage, unbound by gods or men. And between these realms, the gods raised a bridge, Bifrost, a burning arc of rainbow and fire, linking earth and heaven, seen by mortals, but never touched. Then came the city, not for men, but for gods. High above Midgard, in the center of all realms, they built Asgard, a golden city in the sky, where the Aesir would reign. There, Odin sat his throne. There, Frigg became his queen. And from their union came the first of divine royalty, Balder, the shining god, and others who would shape the fate of all things. The worlds were many now, each one spinning in its own rhythm. The realm of elves bathed in light, the dwarves forging deep underground, the giants watching from the mountains, and men learning to walk upright in the fields of Midgard. At the center of them all, Yggdrasil, the world tree, a single ash that rose from the heart of creation, its roots tangled in fate, its branches touching stars, its trunk carved with the scars of gods and time. From blood and bone, from word and breath, the cosmos had awakened. But even now, deep within the roots, something ancient still slithered, waiting. Part 4. Yggdrasil, World Tree and Parallel Worlds. At the heart of all creation, where past, present and future meet in silence, there stands a tree, not just a tree, not just wood or leaf, but the tree, Yggdrasil. Its roots plunge into the deepest wells of reality. Its branches stretch beyond the edge of stars. Its trunk rises like a pillar between worlds, immovable, eternal, alive. Yggdrasil does not grow in soil. It grows in time. Around it, the 9 realms were spun, like orbits around a sun, each clinging to its place, each beating with its own rhythm, each shaped by fate and fire. Let us name them, let us remember. At the center, Midgard, the realm of men, where time marches forward, where mortals live, love, fight, and fall. Above Midgard, glittering like golden flame, is Asgard, the home of the Aesir, gods of war, wisdom, thunder, and prophecy, a place of feasts, of palaces, of Valkyries soaring on wind-swept skies. Further still, Vanaheim, realm of the Vanir, gods of fertility, peace, and nature, gentle, mysterious, ancient as the rivers themselves. They whisper to crops and to hearts, to growth unseen. To the east lies Jotunheim, land of the giants. Mountains walk there, the wind carries curses, and stone remembers the names of things long dead. It is a land both feared and respected, for even gods tread lightly upon it. To the north, ever frozen, stands Niflheim, a realm of mist and ice, of slow death and silence. Here flows Hvergelmir, the roaring spring from which the first rivers came, and here, biting into the roots of the tree, lives a dragon, Nidhogg, gnawing, forever gnawing. Opposite it, in the far south, burns Muspelheim, the land of flame and destruction. Its air blisters, its ground burns, and at its gates stands Surta, guardian of fire, sword in hand, waiting for the final war. To the west lies Alfheim, home of the light elves, beings of brilliance and grace, too radiant for mortal eyes. They walk like music, and their speech is older than song. Beneath the earth is Svartalfheim, realm of the dwarves, dark, deep. Here, hammers never sleep. In these caverns were forged the greatest treasures, gifts to gods and doom alike. And then there is Helheim, a realm of shadows, of echoes, of endings. Hel, daughter of Loki, rules here, half beautiful, half decayed, a reflection of death itself. Those who die without honor, who fall without song, who pass with no one to remember them, they come to Helheim. There they wander beneath the tree, their names fading, their memories swallowed. No fire burns in hell, no warmth, only the long grey twilight and silence. Each realm is tied to the tree, each root drinks from fate, each branch holds the weight of a world. 3 great roots anchor Yggdrasil. One reaches deep into Niflheim, into the spring Hvergelmir, where Nidhogg feasts on corpses, feeding on rot and ruin. Another reaches to Jotunheim, into the well of Mimir, keeper of wisdom, where Odin once sacrificed his eye for a single drink of truth. And the third route winds into the well of Urd, beside Asgard itself, where 3 maidens dwell: Urd, what was; Verdandi, what is; and Skuld, what shall be. They are the Norns, weavers of destiny, carvers of runes upon the bark of Yggdrasil, shaping every fate, mortal or divine, with hands both gentle and merciless. Birds sing in the tree. A great eagle nests in its highest limbs, its wings stirring the winds of heaven. At its feet, a squirrel, Ratatoska, scurries up and down the trunk, bearing insults between eagle and dragon, feeding ancient grudges as the worlds spin on. Time is carried not in clocks, but in the creak of branches, in the dripping of roots, in the whisper of leaves that remember every secret ever spoken. The tree stands, always, though wolves chase the sun, though flames wait in the south, though Ragnarok dreams in silence, Yggdrasil still grows, for now. Part 5. Odin, the thirst for knowledge and the price of wisdom. High above the 9 realms, beyond the shimmer of Bifrost, within the golden walls of Asgard, sat a god who never rested, Odin, the Allfather, the sky god, the one-eyed wanderer, but above all, a seeker. He ruled, yes, but ruling was not his true purpose. He searched for knowledge, for meaning, for the secret runes of fate itself. Odin knew what others dared not speak, that even gods were shaped by destiny, that even eternity has a horizon. He gazed across all realms, sending his ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, to fly beyond the skies. Each day they returned, bringing whispers and echoes from the world of men. He listened to tales of love and loss, of battles and prayers, yet still he hungered for something deeper, for the truths that sleep beneath the surface of all things. There was a place no light could reach, a well, ancient, silent, endlessly deep, Mimis Brunner, the well of Mimir, spring of hidden knowledge. It did not hold water, it held wisdom, and its keeper was no fool. Mimir, aged and watchful, knew the price of revelation. Odin arrived, shrouded in blue, staff in hand, a quiet storm in his steps. He asked not for riches, but for a single drink from the well of all that is, was, and could ever be. Mimir hesitated, then spoke. Understanding must be earned. It comes with cost. Odin agreed. Without protest, he offered his own eye, a symbol of sight exchanged for insight. It fell into the depths and vanished like a falling star. In return, Mimir allowed him one sip, and in that moment, Odin saw. He saw the roots of time, the shapes of thought, the hidden runes beneath every silence. He foresaw his own fate and did not flinch. He glimpsed the fire that sleeps in the south, the serpent beneath the sea, and shadows shaped like wolves. Yet still he drank. But one vision was not enough. The runes, true runes, were alive. They were not read, they were earned. To touch them, Odin needed to walk between worlds, to surrender not power, but self. And so he journeyed to the world tree, Yggdrasil. There he offered himself to the tree of life and fate, not in death, but in transformation. He remained suspended, held by the will of purpose, for 9 days and nights. No nourishment, no comfort, no voice, only wind, endurance, and the groan of ancient branches. Alone, between what was and what will be, he waited, and on the final night, the runes came to him. They carved their knowledge into his being. He did not simply learn them, he became them. From that moment, Odin could shape spells with speech, bind forces with breath, heal with a whisper, and unravel destiny like a poem remembered, but wisdom carries weight. From that day forward, he bore not only vision, but responsibility. To see the future is to feel its echo in every heartbeat, to bless a warrior while knowing his last battle, to rejoice in today while sensing the storm beyond the dawn. He raised halls, he carved fate, he guided kings and poets alike, but always he watched the horizon where twilight waits and embers stir in silence, for Odin had seen the end, and though he wore a crown, he could not stop it, only meet it, and so he gathered those who would stand with him. He built a hall of the honored, he summoned watchers of the fallen, and waited, not in fear, but in readiness, for wisdom demands no less. Part 6. The Gods, Thor, Loki, Balder, and the Tragedy in Blood. Asgard grew, its walls shone like morning fire, its halls echoed with songs of triumph. The gods, the Aesir, gathered in splendor, but every light casts a shadow, and even among gods there is jealousy, wrath, love, and betrayal. Odin's sons each bore a part of him. Thor, the god of thunder, strongest among the Aesir, with arms like the trunks of trees, and hair the color of flame. He was the storm incarnate, the hammer wielder, the protector of Midgard. He rode a chariot drawn by 2 goats, Tangrisnir and Tangenjoster, and when his wheels thundered across the skies, mortals knew to hide. For where Thor passed, storms followed. His weapon, Mjolnir, was not merely a hammer, it was an oath, a force, a promise of retribution. Forged by dwarves in the heart of Svartalfheim, it could crush mountains, shatter armies, and always return to his hand. But Thor's might was not without mirth. He was good-hearted, if not good-tempered, and often the butt of jokes played by one whose smile hid daggers. Loki, born of giants, blood of chaos, eyes like wildfire, words like silk-wrapped blades. He was not Aesir, but Odin called him brother, and Asgard accepted him, though never fully. Loki was clever, too clever. His tricks bent the laws of gods and men alike. He once sheared the golden hair of Sif, Thor's wife, just to watch the world tremble. To make amends, he sought the dwarves, sons of Ivaldi, and from their forges came wonders, a new head of hair, spun from pure gold, a spear that never missed, a ship that could fold into a pocket, and the hammer that would shake creation. Even in penance Loki sowed envy, even in gifts he whispered ruin. Yet for all his mischief he was charming, for all his lies he could be sincere, and perhaps that is why he was allowed to stay. But not all gods forgave, and fate never forgets. There was another, Balder, son of Odin and Frigg, god of light, beloved by all, so pure that flowers leaned toward him, so radiant that darkness wept in his presence. He dreamed of death, a shadow upon a perfect life. Frigg, fearing the omen, made every object in creation swear an oath, do not harm my son. Iron, stone, fire, tree, disease, all agreed, all but one, mistletoe, small, harmless, overlooked. Frigg thought it too young to swear. She let it be. Loki did not. He shaped a dart from mistletoe, smooth, sharp, silent. Then he approached Hoder, Balder's blind brother, who could not join the Aesir's new game, throwing weapons at Balder and watching them bounce away like light on water. Here, Loki whispered, let me guide your hand. The dart flew. Balder fell. The hall went still. Joy turned to ash. Frigg screamed. The gods wept. Odin turned away. Balder's light dimmed. They pleaded with Hel, mistress of the underworld, to release him. She agreed on one condition: all things must weep for him, and all things did. Birds, stones, even the sky, all but one, an old giantess in a cave who refused to shed a tear. Some say it was Loki in disguise, some say it was fate in flesh. Either way, Balder remained dead and Asgard fractured. The gods hunted Loki. He fled, but he could not run forever. They captured him, bound him to stone. Above him they hung a serpent whose venom dripped toward his face. His wife, Sigyn, held a bowl to catch it, but when she turned to empty the bowl, the drop struck Loki's skin, and his cries shook the earth. They say those tremors are the birth pains of Ragnarok, the beginning of the end. Thus the golden age cracked. Thor grew wary, Odin grew silent, and the tree began to groan beneath the weight of what would come. The gods had shaped a world, but they could not escape its echoes. Their children would bear their grief, their blood would stain their altars, and in the farthest flame, a giant waited, sword in hand. Part 7, Ragnarok, the end of the world and the final war. There comes a time when even gods must die, not in silence, not in sleep, but in fire, in blood, in the roaring clash of the end. This time has a name, Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, the final reckoning, not a dream, but a prophecy, a thread woven long ago by the hands of the Norns, etched into the bark of Yggdrasil itself. And now it begins. It starts with 3 winters, unbroken, merciless, cold without end. No spring follows, only snow, only silence, only hunger. The Fimbul winter. Brothers turn on brothers, fathers forget sons. The sacred bonds of kinship snap beneath the frost. The world becomes a battlefield before the war has even begun. Then the skies crack, not with thunder, but with howl. Fenrir, the great wolf, finally breaks his chains. His jaws open wide enough to swallow the sky. Fire spills from his eyes, darkness from his breath. From the sea, Jörmungandr rises, the Midgard serpent, coiled around the world, its venom steaming as it breaks the surface. It writhes toward land, dragging tides and storms behind it. In Helheim, the dead stir, and Loki smiles. Freed at last from his chains, he takes his place at the helm of Naglfar, the ship of the dead, built from the nails of corpses, sailing from the land of shadows to join the fray. At his side, giants from Jotunheim, the damned from hell, monsters born of old betrayal. The sky darkens, and then Surt awakens, the fire giant, the destroyer, his sword a sun, his steps melt mountains. He leads the legions of Muspelheim, raging flame that will set the world alight. He does not march for glory, he marches for endings. The skies split, and the horn is sounded. From the roots of the world tree, Heimdall lifts Gjallarhorn, its sound echoing across all realms. A single blast, clear, final. The gods hear it, and they know this is the day they were born for. This is the end they've always feared. Odin, armored and grim, rides forth on Sleipnir, his eight-legged steed. At his side, the Einherjar, the fallen warriors of Valhalla, reborn to fight one last time. The battlefield is Vigrid, a plain wide enough for destiny itself. And there, the clash begins. Odin versus Fenrir. The Allfather faces the wolf he once caged. They strike, clash, roar, but the beast is too strong, too angry, too free. Fenrir devours Odin, not with triumph, but with inevitability. Thor versus Jörmungandr. The god of thunder wields Mjolnir one last time. Lightning scorches the serpent's flesh. The serpent strikes, coiling, crushing, spewing poison. Thor delivers a death blow, crushing the skull of the great beast, but the venom seeps into his lungs. He stumbles and falls, 9 steps, and then silence. Freyr versus Surtur. The god of harvest, without his sacred sword, faces the fire giant with bare courage. He is cut down. The earth trembles. Tyr versus Garmr, the hound of hell. They tear each other apart, both falling in the grip of duty. Heimdall versus Loki. 2 opposites, order and chaos. Each strikes true, each falls. The sky turns red, the tree shakes, mountains crumble, oceans boil. Surtur lifts his sword and plunges it into the world. Flame erupts, forests turn to ash, clouds dissolve, the very air screams. The sun is swallowed, the stars blink out, the seas rise to drown the sky, and then everything burns. But this is not the end, not truly. In the stillness that follows, in the embers, something stirs. From the ashes, a new world begins to bloom. The rivers run clear, the grass is green. The sun returns, not the old sun, but her daughter, equally bright, equally kind. 2 humans, Leif and Lifthrasir, step from the woods, having hidden through the storm in Hodmimi's Holt, the forest untouched by fire. They will plant and build and remember. From hell, Balder returns, with his blind brother Hurda beside him. Forgiveness blooms where vengeance once stood. Vidar, son of Odin, who avenged his father by tearing Fenrir apart, survives. So does Vali and Modi and Manni, sons of Thor, bearing Mjolnir into the dawn. The world is quiet, but not empty, not lost. A new age rises, built not on power, but on memory, and in the wind, the old songs still whisper. Part 8. The rebirth of the world and the legacy of the gods. The fire has died, the smoke has cleared, the roar of Ragnarok has faded into a hush, a silence so deep it feels like the breath before creation. But this time, it is not the void that returns, not Ginnungagap, not darkness. Instead, there is light. From the blackened soil, green shoots push forth, small, fragile, but unafraid. The rivers flow once more, clear as tears, untouched by blood. Mountains rise again, gentler now, as if shaped by memory instead of war. The air smells of pine, of rain, of beginning. The sun, not the same that perished in flame, but her daughter rises into the sky, glowing with promise. She knows not the pain of her mother, but carries her warmth. And in this reborn world, from the shelter of the Hodmimi's holt, a sacred grove that even fire could not consume, two humans emerge, Leif and Lifthrasia, the last of mankind, the first of mankind. They survive the end, hidden among the roots of Yggdrasil, sustained by dew, protected by fate. They do not come bearing weapons. They do not sing war songs. They come quietly, hands open, eyes wide. They will walk the land, tend the earth, rebuild the homes. They will teach their children stories, not of conquest, but of caution. And in their veins flows every sorrow and strength of those who came before. But man is not alone. In the golden stillness, Balder returns, the god of light, slain by his brother, mourned by the cosmos, now walks the fields once more. By his side, Hörder, no longer blind, no longer lost. There is no blame between them, only forgiveness, only beginning. Vidar, son of Odin, who avenged the Allfather, steps forward into the world not as warrior, but as guardian. He carries no throne, no crown, only the memory of sacrifice. Vali, born for vengeance, now walks in peace. He watches the rivers run clean and says nothing, for silence can be sacred. And in the distance, two others approach, Modi and Magni, sons of Thor. In their hands, they carry Mjolnir, the hammer that once shook the heavens, but it is not raised. It is carried with reverence, not wrath, as a relic, as a reminder. They do not fight, they listen. There is no Asgard now. Its golden halls lie buried. Valhalla has crumbled. The Valkyries have sung their final song, but the stories remain. In the whisper of wind through leaves, in the crackling of firewood, in the laughter of children, the gods live on. They are not gone. They have become echoes, and echoes do not die. The Norns have vanished. The runes have faded from bark. The wells are still, but the threads of fate have not been cut, only loosened. A new loom waits for new hands, and far, far above, Yggdrasil still stands. Its bark is scorched, its branches thinned, its roots tired, but it lives, bent, not broken, watching, for the world may burn, but it also grows, and in the minds of men, in the flicker of campfires, in the ink of old pages, the names are spoken still. Odin, Thor, Frigg, Loki, Balder, not as gods, but as symbols of power, of pride, of failure, of forgiveness. Their stories are not warnings, nor commands. They are mirrors, reflections of us, what we can be, what we must overcome, what we leave behind. And so it ends, and so it begins. The world turns, the tree breathes, the sun rises, and somewhere, beneath a sky scrubbed clean, a child hears a name for the first time, Thor, and smiles. What? And so, from the ashes of an old world, a new one has been born. No more great wars, no more gods seated high upon their thrones, only people, only trees, only memory. Names like Odin, Thor, and Balder, no longer deities to be worshipped, but symbols of strength, of mistakes, and of forgiveness. Ragnarok was not the end. It was a chance to begin again, to tell the old stories with new hearts. We may no longer live in the age of myth, but myth still lives in us. Each time we speak their names, each time we choose love over hate, each time we learn to forgive, like Balder, like Hörder, like the world, beginning again. And if you listen closely, in the still of evening, in the light that filters through the last leaves of day, you might still hear it, the voices of the old gods telling the story one more time.